My name is Pranathi. I am currently education consulting at a nonprofit in Boston. And I think I've been at this job for about 2.5 years. And previously, before that, was in undergrad where I studied applied math and statistics, and then also a minor in engineering for sustainable development. Well, before that, I was in school again.
Can you just talk about classes you took, maybe some type of courses, that type of thing?
I didn't actually know what I wanted to do. Before then, I enjoyed math. I liked it, but I didn't necessarily know if I wanted to pursue that as my main concentration. I realized I had to declare a major or concentration. Ended up choosing math for the purpose of its flexibility. Math itself gives you a skill set where you can pursue a lot of opportunities outside of it, and you can pursue a lot of careers where even if it doesn't have a strict math focus, I think the skill set you learn and just like the logic understanding and practical understanding is pretty adaptable. Was involved with a lot of different activities, a lot of which was focused on social change and nonprofit work within the city of Baltimore, where I was at school at the time. And so I got to work with a lot of different nonprofits in the city. All of that inspired me to really want to pursue career or at least a job that was able to combine like the sort of data analytical skill set that I was interested in with this social responsibility or like the need to make sure that I was using my degree to like support other a lot of math courses and computer science courses. To some extent, it like gets you to be familiar with a sort of logical way of thinking, and it also gets you to be familiar with just adapting to new technologies. Getting that familiarity and those like at bats with those things makes it so much easier when you're leaping into a new profession or like a job or even just like a new problem where you don't quite know all of the things you need to know, but you have this formation of like, here's how I can get there, here are the right questions to ask, here's kind of like the logic I will do to do that. And even if that means being introduced to new technologies or like working with tools you're unfamiliar with, you might actually be more inclined to do that. That's like what makes me really excited, especially in work. And so maybe it's not a one-to-one ratio with like other people when they study these things, they might get something else different out of it, but that's what I got out of it. I know that my career path is going to be very like circular and roundabout and potentially backwards as well, and that's okay. So even now with my current profession, I always have that question of like, do I enjoy what I'm doing, and is what I'm doing helpful, and is there another way I see myself adding value? It's always a question I have.
You said that your journey's been kind of like roundabout and it wasn't a straight line, but was there anything specific or any like series of events that led you into your current position?
It's funny. It's like when you look back, you realize all of the connecting pieces. I would say like one, when I was in K through 12, right? I did do also community problem solvers, and I did do a lot of community service designated opportunities. And when I was an undergrad, I also wanted to continue that. And I think also with undergrad, I started getting more involved with education mentorship and just understanding more of what the education system in America, more broadly speaking. And so that wasn't focused on just pre-K to 12 in the public system. It was also focused on higher education as well. And I think through that, I thought about focusing in on education. So what I do right now as a consultant, right? I think consultants are across various industries. You see a lot of science consultants, you see business, etc. But I thought about being an education one for that specific reason. So in general, I would say consultants have a broad range of work that they do and provide. And I think consultants can sometimes be like a very like ambiguous job, because I think it gets thrown out a lot and it's like very unclear, because what one consultant does might be very different from what another consultant does. And so I can speak more about what I specifically do, but I think I want to note that it's not indicative of what everyone with my role would do. So my role as education consultant, I get to partner with various public school districts, specifically pre-K to 12, as well as schools and also foundations, philanthropies who are supporting education, and sometimes state leaders, to help realign their resources, which I think broadly speaking can be categorized as like people, time, or money, to promote student achievement and then also contribute to a more equitable student experience. And so that means I've been able to partner with a lot of different school districts across America during my time to help provide analysis and input into their strategic resource use to support these equitable student experiences.
Was there any maybe specific experience that impacted you or a specific project?
One experience that I really did enjoy and took a lot out of was with, I think it was Montgomery County actually, and they were doing this overall diagnostic for like equity resource use. So it was actually pretty interesting because we got to look at a lot of data to then be like, great, is this district equitable or not? And like, it was definitely more nuanced than that because we like got to figure out a framework for like how are we going to measure this and all of this stuff. But the most interesting part for me was that then we took it from a district level to like a school level. So we really wanted to understand what was happening in every single school. An example of like my specific role and what this could look like, it could be, so I could work with a team in my company to help to partner with the district to understand what the student experience typically looks like in that district. And so we'll take a bunch of data. So enrollment data, course schedule data, we'll try and figure out like what students are in what classes, also human capital data so we can understand what teachers are teaching those classes to then compile metrics. And like as a note, like yes, we're getting a lot of data, but we work with districts to make sure we're doing this like safely and securely and professionally. In the organization I work with, all of my teammates come from various backgrounds, right? So like I have a math background. There are a bunch of other teammates who have more of a STEM background, right? So they've studied physics, they've studied science, they've studied, I think some people have gotten their PhD in mathematics as well, or engineering, right? And then you also have a lot of people with maybe like they come from other areas. So like economics is one, public health, etc. You really get to get a lot of different interests and mindsets and how you orient towards a problem. The way I approach a problem may not result in like the same path as someone else may bring. And being able to have that collaboration is great. And being able to learn from one another is also amazing as well. And so it's beautiful because I think even if, for example, you don't have a STEM background, to have conversations with people who do and to just understand the different ways people approach problems or approach solution making has been quite fascinating. And I think that's wonderful.
In one field, you might have an issue, but then you can just apply another concept to it. And like, that's how we actively seek change now. And it's just great.
I think my career path will be pretty windy. I can see myself exploring other places in the future. I don't exactly know what that is. I'm just staying open-minded. And the nice thing is, especially as an education consultant, is that you really get to hone in on, especially right now, I'm focused on education in the state of America and especially within public school districts. Each project I work with, I get to work with different community members and stakeholders, and that always gives me such an impact and insight into like how that school system functions. So it's been definitely interesting to see, especially when you think about how school systems from different locations function. So working with Montgomery County in Maryland, they're one of the wealthier counties, school systems in America, and seeing how they think about the world, and especially in a slightly more East Coast area, like how they, in the demographics, like what they think is very different from Tulsa Public Schools or Dallas, right? And there are such slightly different concerns based on the geographies and based on the community they're serving.
What impact has STEAM personally had on you?
I think as you grow older, you start recognizing the things we like and our preferences. Like, I do like math, but I didn't want to like focus in on it. I suddenly hit this point of, what, like I can like it, that's okay. And I can also make it my own because, I have taken the time, I've become self-aware, and it just so happens that like I am fitting this mesh, but I'm going to make it my own different aspect of it. And I think that's why I do have an appreciation for it now, but it's definitely taken me a while to be okay with my nerdiness of it. It's like start understanding where you can like use things that you may not actually concentrate in specifically. So even when I'm not doing like hardcore statistics, or like I'm not using mathematical modeling, like it's still wonderful to think of the ways like all of my best background in STEM and education have like kind of coalesced into who I am right now, and to take me forward into like my thinking and like how it contributes.